Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Erin Killian. I'm the Senior Director of the Agency Partner Program with Pepperjam. I am joined today by Mary Anzalone, who is the Pepperjam Network Product Owner, and today we're actually going to be reviewing dynamic commissioning. As my team and I commit to you guys earlier this quarter, we really wanted to ensure that our agencies have the knowledge, education, and understanding of the ever-evolving Pepperjam toolset to be able to best strategically manage and grow their programs. We started the quarter earlier this year with a demo led by me, and then with notes saying that we were going to break down the components of what Pepperjam has to offer, how you guys can best utilize that to plan your strategy, and to ensure that you have every little bit of knowledge that we have so that there aren't any questions or concerns. So what we're looking to do today is really dive into dynamic commissioning. While it's been a part of the network for a few years now, we know that sometimes its intricacies and nuances can leave challenges. And what better person than to help explain those challenges to our partners than Mary Anzalone, who really helped to craft it, continues to maintain it, and has helped to really make the network the product it is today with your feedback. So what we're going to do today is go through at a high level some of the outlines of dynamic commissioning, and then actually later this week, Melissa Fashana from my team will be doing a live webinar and a live demo with real-world examples to have you guys interact and help go through the actual setup in a live setting. But what Mary and I wanted to talk to you today about are the basics, the nuts and the bolts, the things that help drive dynamic, and why it's beneficial to you guys. If you guys have questions or concerns, we can definitely get them at the end, or if you have anything throughout, just hit them up in the chat box and we'll take care of them afterwards. So we're going to go through what is dynamic commissioning, how does it function, setting it up. There's a report for everything, including everything tied to dynamic. And then for those of you that may not be sitting on the dynamic platform, how can you upgrade, talk about timing and best practices around that. So for some of you guys on the line, you guys are experts in this space and know that when we started, all you could commission on was a sale amount or a lead. Maybe you could put in 10 different commissions for 10 different publishers, but you didn't have a lot of flexibility to actually reward publishers through incrementality, through the actual metrics that matter to your clients. And out of that need came dynamic commissioning, giving you guys the control points you need to pay the commissions you want when you want to be able to pay them. A lot of you have seen this. The dynamic commissioning lets you commission at the right action, at the right time, to the right publisher. It lets you get down into the weeds with your program, where instead of just setting that base 5% commission, you now have the ability to set strategic rule sets, different incremental data points that matter to your program. Does new to file make sense for what your brand is looking to accomplish? Do you want to reward those publishers differently? Is SKU-based commissioning something that you need to focus on? Specific categories, device types, creative, publisher segments. There are so many different control points to be able to get you guys down to the nitty-gritty of what you're looking to accomplish. So we all remember flat commissions, just on an affiliate type, just on a group. If you wanted to actually go back and activate, incentivize, or optimize, you had to run 4 different reports and nothing could be set up automatically. You could only incentivize at that affiliate level, and the reporting was really much more high level. So where did this take us? Well, flat commissioning gives dynamic commissioning at the item level, on preset values, on other values that are important for you. You can actually have real-time application of auto-optimization techniques, whether it's thresholds, flat dollar amounts, or other items that are important to your brand. And instead of just incentivizing at the affiliate level, you can now incentivize at the customer level. Instead of it just being about the sale, it's about those customer actions, the things they're purchasing, and what's important to you. And then obviously detailed real-time reporting with those data points for you guys to be able to best analyze and ensure that you're accomplishing the goals that you would like to be able to. So setting up dynamic commissioning. You guys have heard my voice quite a bit over the past few months. I'm sure you're very tired of me. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Mary Anzalone to walk you guys through.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Mary Anzalone. I'm the product owner here for the affiliate network. I'm going to walk you through a lot of information regarding how to set up dynamic commissioning. I'm going to go through some of the terms that we're using to define these. I'm going to walk through the reporting and some best practices as well. Okay, so here are the elements of a commission structure. I'm going to go through the definitions of each of these to make sure that you understand the language that we're using when we refer to the dynamic commissioning term. So first is the term. You're pretty familiar with these, I'm sure. The agreement between the advertiser and the publisher for a distinct payout. So next comes a rule. So a rule in dynamic commissioning is a set of conditions that must be met for the payout to take place. One or more conditions can make up a rule, but each rule only has one payout. And the default is set to 5 rules per term. We could adjust this if needed, but I would not suggest having more than 5 rules per term because once you overcomplicate the term, publishers are not going to understand how to best promote the advertiser when they don't understand exactly how they're going to be getting paid or what you're trying, what you want them to promote. So we want to make sure we keep the term simple. So while we do have limitations here, some of the best practices we'll say probably limit 5 is a lot of rules per term. Okay, so next is a condition. So a condition is a requirement that must be met for the payout to take place. So all of the conditions in a rule must be met to trigger that action, and the default is set to 3 conditions per rule. Again, probably won't get to 3 conditions in a rule. Lastly is the action. So there's multiple actions that you can take regarding the commission payout of a specific role. You can add a percentage to the base payout. You can add a flat amount. You can also reset the commission to equal a new percentage or to equal a flat amount. And I'm going to go through some examples later in this training that are going to explain the effect of adding, using add or equals, and when you should and shouldn't use those. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the interface and walk you through how you would actually set this up. So setting up terms, you're all familiar with this, I'm sure. You click to add a new term, you add a term and a cookie duration. You then select a percentage or a flat amount. And you also have to select the payout level. So this is at the item or the order level. We would suggest always using the item level for the payout. If you choose order level, you're going to be somewhat limited in the reporting that you're going to get. We want that reporting to be down to the item level because it's going to show you the effect at the item level of the commission rate. So this is important to keep in mind. So to move on, then you would just click Add a New Rule. Okay, so adding rules. So you would enter a name for the rule. We want these to be something descriptive so that if you're looking at this term later on, it makes sense to you why you created this specific rule. Again, you want to designate whether the rule should take place at the item or the order level. This is actually defining how the payout is going to occur. So for this rule, will the payout occur at the item or at the rule level? Okay, so then you would click Continue, and now I'm going to go through all of the conditions that are possible when setting up dynamic commissioning. So first we have the order conditions. So first is the product list. So this is something I'm sure you're familiar with. This is something that we had with itemized. You're able to enter in a SKU and commission differently based on a specific SKU or if a SKU is contained within a SKU list. But we've since added some additional conditions that we can add here. So the next is category. So if an item is in a specified category or list of categories. So you would manage these the same way that you do with your SKU list, but they would be at the category level. So this can simplify things on your side. If you know that you have specific margins on certain categories and you want to commission higher or lower on a specific category for that reason, you can go ahead and set up the rule at the category level, which would make it easier than having to enter in all those SKUs manually and managing a list. So the next is coupon code. So for the coupon code, there's a number of different ways that you can implement this. You can pay a different rate if a coupon code has been used for the order, if a coupon code has not been used for an order, if a coupon code matches a specific code, so if it equals a specific code that you want to commission differently on, or if it starts with the beginning of the coupon code. So if you have a bulk code that you're using for, maybe they're one-time codes, you're using for a specific reason and you want to commission differently, you don't have to enter in all of those individually. You can enter in what they all start with, and that will help change the commission rate. Okay, so next is the order amount. So the order amount is the total number, the total amount of the order. And you can commission if it's greater than an amount, less than a certain amount, or equals an exact amount. And then lastly, the quantity. So the quantity is the total items that are in the order. So you can commission differently if the number of items is within a specific SKU, the number of items from a product list, number of items from a category, or number of items overall from within the order. And again, if it's greater, less, or equals.
So that's actually a great technique if you guys are looking to drive up AOV or basket size, if that's something internally to be able to tag on. And as you can see from where we used to be, there are a lot of items to be able to add into your commission.
Okay, so in this example, we've gone ahead and chosen coupon code. So as you can see in the drop down here, what I went over, a coupon code has been used, has not been used, matches a specific code, or starts with. And so next I've gone through, once you add the rule, you'll then be able to select the action. So on this screen you can see you can add a percentage, add the flat amount, equal a percentage, or equal a flat amount. And we'll go into some more examples right after I get through going through all of the options, so I can show you the differences between adding and equals and how those will actually affect the overall payout. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to go through the rest of the types of rules that we have. So publisher conditions. Number of transactions by a publisher, or the transaction sale amount by publisher. These are your tiers. So this is standard what we had with itemized. We've moved these over. You set them up slightly different, but these are your tier conditions. Next is your customer condition. So this is where you would set up new to file or device type. So new to file is if the customer is new or returning. This is passed through by the advertiser. And I should have pointed out at the beginning, all of the values here and that need to be passed from in the pixel with one of the parameters. So we need to make sure that we're passing this data in the pixel in order to commission differently on it. Device type is another. So this is the device that the order was placed on. So for device type, it's mobile, desktop, and tablet. And how you can set this one up is you can set device type equals one of those three or is not one of those three. So you could say, I want to commission differently if device type is mobile, or you can say, I want to commission differently if device type is not tablet or is not desktop, let's say, is probably a better way to use that. Okay, and lastly, we have creative conditions. So we have two ways that you can commission off of creative. One is by creative type. So this would be, is or is not a specific type of creative. So if you want to commission differently on the generic link versus banners or text links, you can do that. You can also commission differently based on a specific creative. So let's say you want to push a publisher to use a specific creative for some reason. Maybe you want reporting down to that creative level. You want to offer the commission rate at the creative level. You can do that. You can set one creative to be included in the rule or a list of creatives that will trigger that payout.
So you guys know we've talked about this. That for those of you that have had issues with publishers not pulling the right link for an IO, for a commission increase, and you really wanted them to utilize a specific creative, this helps to take that part of the negotiation and the struggle in what we've primarily done for years out of the equation.
Okay, so next I'm going to go through some best practices. Okay, so how the commission structures work. I went over this a little bit before, but they're down to the order versus the item level. So order level rules are going to be applied as to the total order amount, where item level rules are applied to each item individually. And this is how the payout is determined, or how the payout is applied, I should say. So if you set, let's say you have a $100 order, and you're setting the payout, or the commission rate is at 5%. If you set the rule to be at the order level, your payout's going to be $5, right? So let's say you set it at the item level. Your payout is still going to be $5. You're not going to change the amount that you're paying out. However, let's say in this order we have two items and they're both for $50. You would see the payout broken out against those items at $2.50 a piece, totaling $5. So at the reporting level, it's beneficial to break it out at the item level because you can then see how each item affects the overall commission for the order. Another thing to point out, the order of the rules that you set up matters. You run through the orders or the rules in the order of how you enter them. And I'm going to go through examples to make this really obvious of some rules that are applied in different orders and the effects of the commission rates because of that. That's just something that I want you to keep in mind. And I'll go through some best practices on the next slide of how you should think about setting up your commissions. Okay, so some best practices for the order of the rules. First, any rule that you're going to include that's going to set a new commission should come first. So in this example, we have a base commission of 4%, and if it's new to file, set that to be equal to 5%. Next, you would want to include rules that add to that commission. So in this example, it's a category, add 2%. So if you were going through these rules, you would say, okay, base commission's 4%. This is a new customer. We're going to reset that to 5%. Now we're going to get to rule number 2. Is it in category A? Yes, add 2%. And the total commission here would be 7% for that order. Or for items in that order that match that category, I should say. And then finally, any rules that remove commission should always come last. And the reason is if you put this first and then go through other rules, you might add on to that 0%. You want to make sure that if you're setting 0%, it comes last. to ensure that you're getting the result that you expect. And so like we said before, we suggest setting up all rules at the item level with one exception, flat bonuses. So if you want to give a flat bonus for an order, let's say an extra $1, extra $5 for a new to file, you always want to set those up at the order level. If you set up a flat bonus at the item level, it's going to apply the flat bonus to each item in the order. So it's actually going to multiply that amount by every item. So it could be very negative consequences. If you're meaning to give $5 and end up giving 50 because there's 10 items in the order. Okay, so I'm going to run through some examples to explain some different ways of setting this up and the consequence of different multiple rules and the order of the rules. Okay, so here's a pretty simple example. We have a base payout here of 6%, and we have a new to file adding 3%. So if the sale is for a new customer here, we're going to add the additional 3%, and it's going to be a 9% commission rate. Okay, so here's another example. So we have the base payout as 5% on this example, and two rules. New to file, add 2%, and a gift card, which is going to equal 0%. So in this example, if we have a new customer, no gift cards in the order, they're going to get the 5% plus the additional 2% equaling 7%. For gift cards, if any gift cards are purchased, and we're defining gift card as being in the product list, including gift card SKUs. Any portion of the order that equals one of those SKUs in the list is going to be commissioned at 0%. So if there's multiple items in the order, the gift card portion is going to be at 0%, and the rest of the commission is going to be at 5 or 7%, depending on if it's a new or return customer. So here I'm going to run through an example of multiple rules where we're adding. So in this example, we have a base payout of 3%. We have 3 rules here. If the order is over $100, over $500, and over $1,000. So in here we have adding a percentage. So if it's over 100, add 4, over 500, add 5, and over 1,000, add 6. So in this example, let's say we have a sale, which is $150. We're going to have a 3% payout, add the 4, and that's going to be 7%. Let's say we have an order that's over 500, let's say 550. We're going to have the base payout, which is 3. We're going to get to the first rule. First rule applies because the order is over 100, so we're going to add 4. Then we're going to get to the second rule. The second rule also applies because it's over 500. So we're going to add that 5. We're going to get to the third rule. That does not apply, so we're going to stop there. So this commission would actually equal 12%. And lastly, if you had an order that was over 1,000, each of these rules would apply. So they would all take into effect. So we would have the 3% plus 4 plus 5 plus 6%, and that would equal a total of 18%. So I just wanted to demonstrate in this example the effect of using adds, and the next example, I'm going to have the same rules with equals. So here you are, same rules. These equal the 4, the 5, and the 6%, which is probably what someone would want to do while setting this up. So the base payout is 3%. If the sale is over 100, 150, we will then set the commission to equal 4%. If it's over 500, you would still go through these rules, and rule number 1 would apply, and it would equal 4%. And then we get to rule 2, that applies, and the 5% overwrites it. So because these rules are equal, each rule is going to overwrite the commission payout rather than add to it. And in this example, I've actually put the rules in the opposite order to demonstrate how putting them in the wrong order can affect the commission rate. So here we have same rules, but the first rule is the over 1,000, second rule is over 500, and third rule is over 100. So as you can see in this example, any order over $100, whether it's over 500 or over 1,000, is going to commission at 4% because the last rule is the rule over 100. That last rule will take precedent and overwrite the commission set before it. Okay, so now I'm going to go into reporting. So here's the transaction details report. This report has new filters added for each of the conditions that we talked about. So you can see here we have device type dropdown. You can search report or filter this report based on only desktop orders. You can look at this for new to file, new versus returning, if you're passing that information. You can look at this for creative type or coupon codes used. So this report is going to give you the flexibility to see reporting that ties to those metrics that you're interested in. And when you run this report, on the term for each item is a link. And if you click on that term, it's going to open up the order commission rule report for that specific order. And the purpose of this report is to show you the effect that your term has and each of your rules has on the overall payout for the order. So the way that this report works, it's always starting with the default payout. So it's going to tell you your default payout, in this example here, is 3%. So it's going to show you that. And then it's going to go through each of the rules that you have set up. And it's either going to add to that base or subtract from it. So if you have, let's say you set the commission to 0% for a specific item, for that line item, you'd see negative whatever the commission would have been. So this is going to show you your saving if you set that up, or the additional commissions that you're paying out because of the rules that are set up in your commission structure. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to upgrade. So upgrading to the dynamic pixel is free. You don't have to pay anything extra to upgrade. The steps are going to vary depending on what type of tracking your program is currently on. So if we're on itemized, you're not going to have to launch a new program. You will have some work to do on your side, but we could do a lot of the work on our side here on Pepperjam, our integration team. But we would be happy to help you. If you want to upgrade, please reach out to Erin and her team, and we'll walk you through the steps needed.
Absolutely. And what we'll also do is talk about best practices on timing. Obviously, we can't even believe it. November is almost here. So if we wanted to talk about planning for 2018, or if you're unsure what status or what level of tracking your program is sitting on, we would be more than happy to assist, walk you through that, and make sure that you guys have all the detail needed to be able to act against that. So that's really everything that Mary and I have for today. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat box, or you guys are always available to be able to hit me up offline. More than happy to review. We definitely want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with the technology, that you guys know how to best implement it, especially since I can only imagine all of the commission terms, strategic planning, and other items that you're doing to be able to activate for peak. So we see a question. We're trying to find it. Oh, we've got lots of questions. Hold on. Sorry, guys. The question section is really small. So the dynamic pixel is our default pixel. And so that is the pixel that all new programs on the network launch with. If programs are sitting on a basic pixel, which is the first iteration of Pepperjam tracking, because that's only at the order level, there is a little bit more work involved to be able to change that pixel over. So it does require an internal migration. For anyone who would be interested in those exact steps, we would be more than happy to outline that and send that over to you guys. And then we've got another question. How do you incentivize publishers to switch from basic to dynamic? It's a great question. So if you are in the process of migrating between programs in an upgrade, we always recommend some type of incentive. Publishers are always looking for a reason to change over. So one way I used to do is remove all of my offers and all of my high-end commissions from my old program, make sure that my new program had all of my offers, my deals, my updated content, any aggressive commissions, in order to kind of push them to move over to the new program. And I would be more than happy to review some of that detail in greater depth as well.
Okay, next question. Is item category defined in the general product feed or elsewhere?
It's actually defined elsewhere. So the product feed is a separate entity. For us, it does not tie to the SKU list or category list. The category ID marker would be whatever the advertiser's internal category marker is that you would work with the team to put into a CSV format in order to upload and maintain within the network. So that is actually a separate list to be maintained and does not tie back to the product feed. I know that other people may utilize the feed for that. Within Pepperjam, those lists are actually separate in order to better maintain them at a more granular level. We're checking to see if we've got some more questions. I think the list is found under the settings page. So under settings, under the commission terms, there's the categories and an itemized list component so that you can click into both. You can also access that from the term page by clicking into the settings or manage terms. So we'd be more than happy to kind of outline that as well. Well, I think those are all the questions we have for right now. Thank you guys so much for finding the time for us today. What we'll do is we'll follow up. We'll send the deck as a takeaway. And if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.